Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scot McKay.
All right, gentlemen, how's it going? This is your main man, Scot McKay, coming at you again with another episode of the Mountaintop Podcast. Today, I have a brand new guest with me. You're going to love her. She's bringing a new topic that we've never talked about around here. And, you know, you guys have heard the same trite stuff. Well, starting with deserve what you want from me. Not that it's trite. I've been saying it for 20 years. It's just kind of shop worn around here that you got to be the kind of person who the other person is looking for in a relationship if you want that kind of person you really want. It's, you know, deserve what you want is the simple, elegant way to put it. You know, better men get better women. It's a fact. If you're a crappy guy, you're going to get crappy women, and the crappy women probably aren't even going to want you. So when we talk about things like respect, honor, being vulnerable, being honest, you know, those things should be pretty obvious to anybody who wants to get into a relationship. But my new friend and co-host for today's show, Simone Milicis, who comes from Australia. We've had some Australian guests lately. Yeah. Kind of a captivating accent they have. We enjoy that always. Has come up with a term called creationship. And I think a creationship sounds a lot more palatable than a destructionship or a shipwreck for sure. So I want to welcome Simone to the show. Simone, we're glad to have you here. Let's talk about creationships.
Yay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, you should be happy because you're in Costa Rica. I'd be happy to be there too.
I am. I'm very happy. I have horses here. So after I finish here, I'm going horse riding and I love it. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful. Down in the Miguel Antonio Park down in the southwest.
Actually, it's more in the middle. It's in an area near Sarapiquí. And so it's more rainforesty. So, you know, we get to ride through rivers and yeah, it's phenomenal.
Is that up near the Arenal volcano or is that more north?
About an hour and a half from there.
Which could be like 5 miles in Costa Rica.
Exactly. I know. Depending on the traffic, if there's a landslide or what's happened. Yeah.
Or depending on whether there's a road or not.
Exactly.
Existing. Yeah,
yes.
Right. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
But enough about me. We're here to talk about creationships.
Yeah.
Go ahead and define the word for us. Tell us what you got in mind there.
All right. Well, let me tell you the story about how this actually showed up.
Perfect.
Yeah, because we talk about relationships, right? The world talks about relationships and, you know, what you're supposed to choose and etc. But if you look at a dictionary, especially before 1937, the definition of relationship means the distance between two things. So I was sitting in a friend's lounge room and we were talking about these classes that we were doing, you know, relationships done different, etc. And so we started looking at, well, what is it for us? And we were sitting around having a few drinks in this lounge room. We went, you know what? It's more of a creationship. So then this like spawned from this conversation with friends. And for me, what this is looking at is you should be creating at least 20 times more when you're with someone than what you would alone. Because, you know, Scott, I know we had a little brief chat before we started, and for me, we're in such a different place right now. Like if you look at the history of relationships, you know, we did it for money, nobility, land, like all these different things. We really are in a place where we can choose. So for me, if you're going to choose someone, choose a relationship that you're going to create more because that person is in your life and you have them with you. So that's the basis of it.
Yeah, I think if you got someone in your life who's holding you back and keeping you from living your best life, you know, which we all talk about, and certainly being happy, which seems like it's the holy grail for people to be happy. And I know you've got a lot to say about happiness being the core of relationships or not, and I want you to talk about that. But yeah, I think definitely the way I put what you just said is 1 + 1 in a relationship shouldn't equal 2. It should equal 5, 10, or 50.
Exactly.
20x sounds like a lot. You know, I'm not sure I have, you know, if I'm awake for 16 or 17 hours a day, I'm not sure that, you know, I can do what I do in 17 hours all in 1 hour on the daily because I have my honey in my life. But I think I get where you're coming from, that together being a team should mean that you're definitely leaving the world a much better place together than you would apart from each other, that you're contributing more to society together than you would have by yourselves, because, you're kind of doing that Vulcan mind meld thing where you're making each other better people and you're encouraging each other and bouncing ideas off each other. That's connecting, that's getting each other. Yet a lot of people get into relationships simply because they think the other person's hot or they're going to pay their bills. And there's really no regard for any kind of connection or getting each other at all. I have people come to me all the time, and Simone, they'll say, my wife of 6 years said this to me last night. What did she mean by that? And I'll go, I don't know. Did you ask her? And they'll be like Homer Simpson, no, I can't do that. That would be a crazy thing to try to attempt. So this all gets to the heart of what you're talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it takes some courage and I know courage has been a word that's thrown around a lot too, but to have those conversations and to also say what it is you desire. Like I remember years ago, I travel a lot. Like I travel pretty much like 7 to 10 months of the year. So, and this was when I was single, and I went, if I end up with someone, they're going to have to be okay with me traveling. It's because I'm not about to go, okay, I'm going to stop because I'm in a relationship. I will travel. I love it. I work all around the world. I do all of this. So that's a part of who I am. So you need to choose someone that you go, okay, can we have this conversation? Is this okay? Do you want to come meet me over here? Do you want to do this? But I'm not about to give that part of me up for someone. And it's such a fine line. There's so many conversations that you can have with people and choices that are available, but not giving you up for somebody else. And I know that that's a conversation that has been, probably, taken around the ring a few times as well, is you get in, like you said, you meet someone, you go, God damn, they're cute, like blah, blah, blah. And then you come in, you go, well, they probably don't like this about me. And it's like, you cut off your arm, and then you cut off your other arm, and then you cut off your legs, and you're just standing there in front of them. And they're like, you're not the person I originally saw. Like, I think
you're probably not standing there in front of them.
No, you're like,
cut off your legs. You're like
exactly. You're bobbing
Black
there.
Knight in Monty Python at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Bite their knees off.
Yeah, but then you're like, why don't you like me anymore? Oh, because I'm not being all of you. So I think for me, a creationship too is letting that person be everything that they want to be, and you get to choose everything you want to be. But it's not choosing against. And I think a lot of people go to, oh, this is, if I choose for me, I'm choosing against. No. It's like it's choosing for you, and the other person is an allowance of that as well.
Wouldn't it be great if people started thinking in terms of, okay, it's not like I'm going to get into a relationship and have to give up everything. I mean, and that's the most devastating myth about relationships ever. Yeah. I remember one time I was on a panel in front of a bunch of men. They picked 5 dating guru type guys to sit on a dais together and take questions. And even at that point in my career, back like in 2010, 2011, when this happened, I was already unk to these guys anyway. Right. I'm like Yoda nowadays, but I mean, back then I was like the big brother. And they sat me at the end and they asked me last every time. And these guys just rattled off a train of comments about, oh, you better make sure you bang a bunch of chicks now, because when you turn 30, it's over. And don't get married, because once you get married, you're buried. If you have kids, your life is just, you're done. I'm just sitting there kind of nodding my head and going, When it came to me, I said, well, I don't know about these guys, but since I met my honey, I've knocked off more items off my bucket list together as a team. Yes. And had more exciting times and hilarious laughs and conversations than I ever did when I was single. And I mean, I road raced motorcycles and dragged my knee on tarmac and went surfing when I was single. And I'm saying this. It's not like I sat, alone in my, studio apartment lonely for all those years. Wasn't like that. I don't have the same experience these guys are warning you about, and I'm living that experience. So you mentioned travel. I mean, back when I was single, I worked for, I worked for a Fortune 50 company, and I had my 2 weeks of vacation a year. And by the time I was done being exhausted for 50 weeks a year, I just wanted to go lay on a beach somewhere for a week and a half. When my wife and I came together as partnership, she encouraged me to do what I do even nowadays. She was my biggest cheerleader. We got into it together, built a location independent business, and started traveling the world. And all the places we've been are quite directly a function of us being partners. And then when the kids were born, obviously we weren't going to, if we're not beholden to a job or an employer, we weren't going to be beholden to a school district. We did what's called world schooling them, and still do. And then, they got into sports that happen all over the country, bought an RV, took them around, and we've just been living the dream, and life has been more exciting since the two little ones showed up. And I mean, this is what you make it. If you're afraid of something because someone told you to be afraid of it, you're going to end up being afraid of your own shadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And it's like, baby, you're obviously choosing what works for you. And I think that's the key of what we're talking about here is choosing
you have a choice.
What works for you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always say, like, my last long-term relationship, when we split up, it's interesting. People go, oh, are you looking for another relationship? And I was like, am I? And I really started to have a look at it. And one of the things I did was I actually wrote down all these topics: business, money, relationships, sex, body, and geographical. And I spent like a week it was in 2020, just looking at all these different topics and asking myself, am I choosing what works for me, including work? What am I doing with money? Am I choosing what works for me? Like, what would I like my life to be? Because, this is not a dry run. This is it. And then relationships. And I looked at that, Scott, and there was one thing that really popped for me was there's aspects of relationship I really enjoy. And, maybe opening a bottle of wine and cooking a great meal and having some, great music and great conversation. Okay, I have that with a lot of people. I'm not copulating with them, but I have that with a lot of people. So I started to look at, okay, I have this, but then
let me give you a news flash, though.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more fun when you do copulate with them afterwards. Just FYI.
Well, not all of them, because I'm definitely into men and not women, and I have that relationship with some women, or the gay guys that are in my life. I have that with them. But then I looked at sex and I went, I really like sex. And after my relationship, I went through this crazy thing of going, oh my God, I'm never going to have sex again. And then I think
we've all done that, especially if it was a really brutal one where you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm washed up, I'm done. And you're 32. It's a crazy thought. Yeah.
Well, how old was I? I was in my 40s. So, but I did the thing of the dating apps, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's a full-time job, dating apps. Like, it's hard work, and then
it's a full-time dead end job in the year 2026, by the way.
It is. Absolutely. And when I went on all the dating apps and I went, well, it's actually very easy to hook up with someone, very easy to hook up with someone. I was like, but is it actually bringing me fun? Is it joy? So I was like, okay, what do I need to choose with sex then? So, I mean, I've had a lover now for 6 years, and I don't say we're in a relationship. I literally do call him a lover, because I'm not looking to, in this moment in my life, I'm not looking to move in with someone again and have that. I like how I'm living. He likes how he's living, and it works for us. But that might not work for somebody else, but that's what works for us at the moment. And I think that's really imperative with, like we were talking about creationships, or just even choosing what's honoring of you, being you, and choosing that.
I'm listening to what you're saying, Simone, with great interest, because just in recent days and weeks, we've been talking about, how dating apps are dead.
Yeah.
Okay. You're flogging a dead horse by even trying.
It's scary.
With all the AI and nobody writing their own narrative and everything being based on a split-second judgment, assessment of who this person is, even the quote-unquote beautiful people are frustrated with it, right? But, you're bringing up the idea of hookup culture feeling empty. And, that didn't take long for a lot of people to figure out. And so what it's come down now to is that dating is dead. But we haven't been given anything to replace it with. Just did an entire masterclass on this whole subject. And it was a topic that a lot of guys had a keen interest towards. Because, if a woman says, you're asking me to spend time with you, is this a date? The guy's like a deer in the headlights. He's like,
is it?
I don't know. Is there a right answer here? Is this a trick question? Am I getting punked?
Yeah.
Do you take her out to dinner and a movie? I mean, that seems so 1981. And so we're kind of left with, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So you get your situationships. I love your evolution to creationship. I think that's fantastic. And as long as you're creating something instead of making it, well, the word I used, making a funny earlier, which was destructionship or shipwreck, right? You don't want to do that, but people will enter into these things because they're not thinking, they're not evaluating, they're just feeling in the moment. And, she's hot and she has a nice ass, and then she ruins his life. And that's not a creationship, that's a destructionship. Whereas, what if we could just create places together where we as human beings could enjoy each other's company, where masculinity and femininity were free to thrive and attract each other again? I mean, go figure, right? Men have been told that their masculinity has been toxic, like rat poison, for over a decade now. And women have been talking about femininity in terms of hijacking those virtuous masculine traits so they can get ahead in business and take the man's role. And then they end up going, ick, that's not what I really wanted. I want to feel like a woman again somehow. And meanwhile, women want their men back. Men really would love to spend time with women, but they just don't think women like them anymore. And it becomes really a twisted bird's nest. How do we create instead of destroying, Simone?
Yeah, Scott, I think we're definitely onto something. And I do think the conversations need to be had. And I don't think there's actually an answer. And I love being treated like a woman, absolutely love being treated like a woman. And I see all the time, men don't know if they're allowed to. Like, say on a plane, the amount of times I go to get my bag from up the top, and either men are looking like, I don't know what to do. Should I ask if she needs help? Or when they do help me, I will always receive it. Like, I'm quite capable of getting my bag, but I will always receive it. And the one thing I'll always do is say, thank you for being a gentleman. Like, it's really nice to have a gentleman here. And I will acknowledge it if they open a door. And I think women, if you desire that, you need to start treating the men who are gentlemen and acknowledging that they are choosing that, like honoring that. Really, I do.
I think that goes both ways. I think men need to start accepting feminine gifts also, instead of saying, I got this, you're just going to, take me to family law court and ruin me anyway. So don't even try to bake me cookies. I know what you're trying to do here.
Well, it goes the other way. In Australia, my last divorce, I was the one who was earning more money. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female. It's like, if I've shown my ex a certain style of life, I'm supposed to continue showing him a certain style of life. Like, that's the law. So it sort of goes both ways. So, he had a child. So I ended up paying for his child, like his school fees, private school fees, until he left school. But I was very happy to do that because that was my relationship with his son. But it goes both ways. But I do think we need to not be so paranoid, and I get why people are. Honestly, I do. And what if you were the person who took that first step? Like, what if you were the woman who said thank you? What if you were the man who said, can I help you? Like, I was on a plane with a friend of mine, and this is how this all started. I went to get my bag out, and he looked at me and he said, Simone, he said, do you realize if you ask me, I will move mountains for you? And I sat there and I went, okay. I went, will you please help me get my bag down? And he was like, yes, I would love to. And there was this
You must have
moment.
packed an awful lot for that trip, Simone. You had to move a mountain by getting your bag.
I do. I'm not a light packer. You'd think
we
I would
resemble
have
that
it
remark
together by
too.
now, but I don't.
We still actually collect souvenirs when we go on trips and bring home cool tchotchkes. So
right.
It's crazy when we come back. It's like it's like the Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America. We have like, steamer trunks of stuff following our entourage through the airport.
Yeah. But I think we need to have these conversations. And funnily enough, I'm here in Costa Rica, and we're at this resort we have called El Lugar, which means the place.
The place
in Spanish, yeah. And I have some classes here, and one of the classes I have here is it's a facilitator training for relationship done different facilitators. But we're going to launch something different here. And I'm calling it, this is a work in action, like a working name in action, is an intimate evening, and it's not what you think. So there's a bunch of us here, different languages, different people, etc. And my idea is, okay, let's meet down at the bar, pre-dinner drinks at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we sit down, have dinner, but put your phone away. the phone, I was going to make a joke of it and have this big box. Like when you walk in, your phone goes in the box. And I want us to engage and have conversations. And if I sit down next to someone who I've known for years, find out something about that person that you don't already know. Because we seem to have these normal conversations, or say if I meet you, Scott, and I'm always talking to you about a certain topic, then I lean into that rather than, well, Scott, let me ask you some questions about when you were 20. Like, what were you choosing then? How did you look? Anything different, or what do you want the future to be? So I want to take this out into the world and have these, like, you used to do, what do you call it, speed dating?
I thought you were going to say cuddle parties.
Oh, well, cuddle parties. I know friends who do cuddle parties too. I
thought you were going to make cuddle parties great again there for a second, but this is like the more evolved, buttoned up version of it.
Right.
I think. Yes.
Well, actually, a friend of mine in South Africa went to a makeout party the other day, and I was like, oh, okay.
I think you used to just be able to get that every New Year's Eve on Trafalgar Square in London. Yeah.
That is so true.
You didn't even have to pay any entry fee.
That is so true. I lived in London.
Yes.
I love that.
I plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah. Me too. But having these like places where you just like, let's start talking to each other again. Like, and I was saying, pick up the phone and call someone. We're so used to now like texting, leaving a message, whatever. It's like, and do you remember the days when someone used to call and you had no idea who it was? Like, it wasn't a name that popped up. It was just the phone rang and you answered it, and we would be like, hi, and you'd have these conversations. Or even going to get, gas in your car and the guy would come and help you and offer to clean your windows. And like, I'm a bit like, can we bring some of the old school? Because that old school engagement was gold.
You know what you've done is you brought dating back.
Yeah.
We're dating ourselves is what we're doing, talking like this. That's right.
Yeah.
And not in the way people expect when they watch or listen to this show. Yeah, I mean, my goodness. Station attendants, gasoline, like old school landlines, people calling you up and you didn't have caller ID. I mean, the horror. How did people live like that?
I know. And you'd go out in the street and you'd go somewhere. And if I grew up, I'm 56, mobile phones. I remember the first mobile phone that came out was like a friggin' brick. Like, oh yeah. And taking that to the beach.
And the curly antenna that you had to drill into the back of your windscreen on your car. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you went out, you just went out. And you weren't looking down and you weren't, osteos and chiros, I think, get it good now because they're fixing everyone's necks and back from just looking down at their phones. I really do think we need to give up some of that stuff. I don't know if I'm showing my age, but it's like even I gave this home play to some people the other day and I was like, when you go to the supermarket, talk to someone, anyone.
Anybody.
Even say hello. How's your day? Or it's like, I don't know, when you're at the fruit and veggie section, something. But we've stopped just talking to a random stranger.
I take guys out in field and teach them how to interact with women and charm women and make them laugh and like them. And this is with the full blessing of my lovely wife. Sometimes she comes along with us. Because I'm not teaching pickup. I'm not. Yeah, sure. I'm not teaching pickup or hitting on women. I'm just teaching the art of interacting with women in an attractive, pleasing way that makes them like you. And once you've acknowledged the feminine in them and they like you and they're charmed and they feel safe with you instead of threatened, really, you can take that interaction anywhere you want. And it's gotten to the point over the last 17 years of me doing it where it's so positively shocking to a perfectly decent woman that a guy is showing up, being decent, and actually talking to her, that alone is enough of a thrill to carry it.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. But I'll say to guys when they get off the plane and, we'll go check them into the hotel and grab a bite, and we're just being casual, but, so the calm before the storm when we have to go balls to the wall next day, meeting women all day, I'll say, here's something I want you to kind of park in your brain as we go. I want you to keep your eyes open. And note every time you see a man talk to a woman he doesn't know for any reason. And I would be willing to bet that the number of times you see that happen over the next 3 days is 0.
Yeah.
And we'll go out to the venues at night. We'll go out to the places where people socialize. in San Antonio nowadays and watch the interactions, and everybody is sitting with the people they came with.
Yeah. Yes.
Even the waitress
Habitual.
will come up and they'll smile and nod and go, yeah, I'll have another round. People aren't talking to waitresses at lunch.
Mhm.
They'll go into a store and say, hey, do you have a pair of Nikes in size 9.5? And there's no interest in, there's nobody taking an interest in anybody else for any reason other than purely the transaction. And even that's a bother. And yet, when we start these conversations with women taking an interest in who they are and helping them laugh, and by now, I'm tricky like that. I'll weave jokes into anything, trying to be funny. Often successfully, I might add. And women are just charmed and they giggle and they don't want you to leave.
Yes.
And I'm about your age. I'm a little older. I'm 59. I'll talk to 23, 24-year-old women working in stores and they're like, don't leave. Don't go. And it's not like if I were single, I would ask them out and take them out. I mean, what's she going to do? Introduce me to her 40-year-old dad? I mean, what's she going to think of me, right? I shouldn't probably worry about that. But nevertheless, I wouldn't have designs on getting into any kind of sexual relationship with this girl, frankly. I mean, she's well past 18, but I'm talking like 24, 26-year-old women who work retail. They're eating me up with a spoon. And a lot of the guys who are with me are like, this is fascinating.
Yeah. And
they'll say, I think she would have gone out with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of scary because she was like 24, So, I mean, there are times where even it looks like she's starting to get a little romantically inclined because she's attracted. But it isn't even about that. It's just if I can get into a rhythm in my life where, yes, I'm not afraid of women anymore. I talk to them. I charm them. I'm not trying to get something off them.
Yep.
Right. Remember, I don't know, you're from Australia. I don't know what the vernacular is where you live, but, back in 7th and 8th grade, you'd go out on a date to a movie with some little girl and you'd come back and the boys would be like, did you get anything off her? That would be exactly the words they use.
Right.
Once you make a woman feel safe and comfortable and attracted, you can relax and do with that situation what you want. If you're both available, both single, you can just start freely talking about it. And yet people are so scared of what might happen. There's so much fear around everything human nowadays, all driven by social media, by the way. And that's a well-traveled topic around here. Everybody just creates division and fear and hatred. You talked about something earlier that I think deserves a little bit of elaboration. You were talking about how men won't even ask to open the door. They'll just stay away. They don't want to risk having their hand slapped for trying. Mm-hmm. Here's my challenge to that situation. If you're being good and decent and thoughtful and not being self-centered, and you're trying to offer something that would make the world a better place, and the other person is nasty to you for it, get into the habit of just recognizing that that's their problem, not yours.
Exactly.
And it'll cure it. That'll cure you on the spot.
Yep, I love that. It's not personal. And because I do travel so much, Scott, and you do notice the difference in cultures. So like here in Costa Rica.
Most non-Western cultures have no problem with anything we're talking about today.
Yeah, I know. And I think Australia and America may be very similar as well in the way it's like you have a lot of mates. Like in Australia, you have a lot of female-male mates sort of thing. I think the Europeans are genuinely trained to be more of a gentleman, like the Italians or something like that.
Well, the continuum of how uptight people are, I think, flows from England to Canada to America, south to Australia.
Yep.
Australia's a no worries culture. I mean, you can basically run over someone, in the hallway and they'll go, no worries, you're all right. That's what they'll say. You're all right. They know nothing bothers them. At least that's how I saw it when I was there. I think it may have changed a bit since COVID.
Yeah.
But, when I go scuba diving, no worries. Just strap a tank on. You just don't breathe make sure you breathe on the way up, mate.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen here.
But I think we miss, there's a lot of Australian women who would love to actually be treated more like ladies, and the men miss that because it's just not as much in the culture. And when you do that, I think it gets such a cool reaction. Like I have a friend who's based in California and he was dating a Swedish model and I went to Sweden and I was like, what's happening here? It's like, it was amazing how the men would go to do something and the women would look at them like, do you not think I'm capable? And I was like, wow, this guy's actually just really trying to open the door. Like, of course you're capable of opening a door. And I really do.
Well, he's way ahead of me because the only Swedish model I've ever been with was a Volvo. So
let's not talk about Volvos. Yeah. But yeah, I just, as you said, Scott, which was so well put, is that you need to not take it personally if someone doesn't receive what you're actually putting out there, the action that you're taking. Just keep moving forward. Like keep choosing. Be like, no, and I know this conversation's been had a million times too, but how do you want to show up in the world? Like treat people the way you would like to be treated.
That's right. If I'm a guy who opens a door for women, if I'm a guy who wants to get into a situation with a woman that's not a situationship, but I actually want her to be a better person, I want her to build me up into a better person. Why don't I lead with that? Why don't I make it perfectly known that's who the hell I am? I want to get into a relationship with a woman where we're promoting each other's mutual interests and building each other up, and then just see what comes back to me. If the girl says, "Ick," well, guess what? Maybe she's not my honey. I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's 100%. Yeah.
And also not the judgment and the expectation. I know that you said that you've spoken about that a lot too. But say you've got someone in your life and they are treating you, like that, you're on a date. I would not be shy either. If we were sitting there having dinner and my wine glass was empty, I'm not going to lean across and pour my own wine. I would say, can you fill up my wine? And not making them wrong for not actually noticing it, but asking them, can you help me with this?
My wife does that.
Up? Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, because I see women go, oh, he didn't fill up my wine. And it's like, are you just looking for them to do something so that you can judge it? Or what if you actually contributed to asking for what it is you would like to?
This might be a kind of a bit of a mic drop because it's such an objective example of exactly what you've been talking about. Because, we can see the term creationship and kind of guess what it's about, but you've added so much cool nuance to it. It's okay in a relationship for one person to request of the other person something that makes that person sexier to them.
Yeah.
Or makes them more attractive or thrills them a little.
Yeah.
Because when the woman says, would you pour my wine for me? That's going to be masculine and sexy. He's going to be taking care of her and she's going to get a little thrill from that. So it's not like she's making this arduous demand of him that he work or something. It's more like, give me a little thrill. But I don't think we're honest enough about that. So when we're together in a creationship, we're not only creating opportunity for each other, we're creating positive experience and benevolent emotion towards each other. All of that is part of the creation, isn't it?
Yeah. And, I've even noticed the subtle things. Like, so with my lover for 6 years, we met during COVID. So we spent a lot of time at like my house or Airbnbs, like not going out in public because we weren't allowed to, right? So we got to know each other really well, but I wasn't getting dressed up. I wasn't putting makeup on. We were just there, And I've noticed over the years, a couple of times we'd go somewhere and he'd go, oh, so like you're going to wear high heels and makeup, And he's not saying I should wear it, but he notices he likes it when I wear high heels and makeup. So I noticed that he likes it too. And I go, yeah. And then he will comment. And he started saying to me, I used to think in my head how beautiful you looked, but I've started, when it comes into my head, I say it out loud now. And it's so nice to hear, being a woman, when someone just looks at you and goes, wow, you look so beautiful.
Well, when that's happened, not only is he creating a thought in his head, but now you're mutually creating a moment together.
Yes.
If he keeps it to himself, it's not a creationship. It's something he's created in his imagination. The creationship is fulfilled upon when it's shared.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But there are no expectations. It's just like you don't expect it.
It's got to be natural, authentic. Yeah.
Yes.
Her name is Simone Milicis. She's originally from Australia, hence her friendly and engaging accent, but she's spending some time right now in Costa Rica with her horses, which is fantastic. And when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Simone, which is like Simon with an E,
Correct.
Although
That's how I say it everywhere.
Simone is a much prettier name than Simon. It's kind of like when a woman's named Lillian versus being named Liliana. It just one letter transforms the whole way it rolls off your tongue. When you go to SimoneMilasas.com, you will have gone to exactly where mountaintoppodcast.com/Simone would take you. And Simone, what will they find when they get there?
Oof, I have lots of things going. I mean, I have a podcast.
You've been at this a while.
Yeah, exactly. I've been at this a while. I have books, I have classes, I do private sessions, I've got a podcast myself, YouTube channel, lots of different things. Yeah. All using access consciousness tools, which is what I've been working with for 25 years. And to me, that's basically everything we've been talking about. It's like, creating more awareness in everything that you choose. Yeah.
Now, you do business coaching and speak to the business world also, which is, of course, not the direct topic of this show, but they'll find out more about that when they go there too, right?
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. And also, you have a book on Amazon, 3 books on Amazon, one most relevant to the topic of this show, which is Relationships. Are you sure you want one? Yes. Now, that is a provocative title. And when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Amazon, you guys can get a copy of that too. Simone, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll come back and talk more, because this has been a fantastic conversation. And, when these conversations cover things that I'm not expecting, I think they're the better conversations. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate this conversation.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate being here. I really do. And I just want to say thank you to all the listeners out there, because if you're listening to Scott's show, you're actually you're choosing something to move forward, to be a better you. So I love that. Thank you.
I know there was a reason I liked you.
Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic. Gentlemen, guess what? If you haven't gotten your hands on the Big 4 Woman, which is my little audio program, costs you about as much as a casual lunch. What it'll do is it'll help you really grasp the kind of woman you're looking for out there if you're a better man who gets better women. I mean, better is kind of a nebulous term. Well, who is this woman? Who is this woman to you? Not someone else's recommendation or rendition of a good woman for you, but how do you spot the kind of woman who's right for you? And how do you invite her into your life? That's all covered in that little audio program. And you can get it at mountaintoppodcast.com/Big 4 Woman, right? If you're a Big 4 man, you need a Big 4 woman. Therefore, you can start a creationship together that way. When you visit mountaintoppodcast.com, I've got a brand new free report for you, okay? 5 things you can do right now. It's called Flip the Switch. There's nothing to learn, nothing to memorize. 5 things you can do right now to get better with women. And you get that for free when you join my daily newsletter, which you should be on anyway, because I just give actionable content away every day. Also, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, Heroes Soap, The Keyport, all of those guys will give you a more manly presence in the way that they do individually, all in different ways. You can find out more about our 3 longtime sponsors. Also, when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com and when you use the coupon code Mountain10, you get an extra 10% off. And guys, I have an open door policy. When you get on my Zoom for 30 minutes, let's talk about what you got going on in your life. If it makes sense to put together a coaching program, we'll do that. Otherwise, I just need to keep my finger on the pulse of what you guys got going on so I make a better show for you. And that's a great reason to talk to me in person. If you guys have never done that before, especially if you've listened to the show for a long time, I'm exactly who you think I'm going to be. Pick up the phone. Let's talk. Actually, you wouldn't pick up a phone at all. It's the year 2026. We'd get on Zoom. And so, well, I don't know. You pick up your smartphone and be on Zoom, I guess. I'm making this too complicated. Guys, just get on my calendar and let's talk. All of that is there for you and more at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scot McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.